Hey guys, welcome back to Aquarius Rising Africa. And I hope you're all having a fantastic day. It's a little bit chillier, but I have to say, I think summer's on the way. Looking forward to that. Anyway, also looking forward to having Arkheim Ra back again with me this evening. And we're going to be talking about like the Mandela Effect, cloning, time travel, all sorts of amazing things. Akim and I were just actually having a little off-air chat right now and just speaking about the importance of this time and people really waking up to what's going on. I think a lot of this information right now that we're putting out is indigestible to a lot of people, but little bit by little bit, we make it digestible, right? Anyway, before Akim comes on, just a couple of announcements. So Wednesday, tomorrow, Double Trouble with Jesse again, usual time, 1:30 and 3:30 p.m. Central Africa time. Thursday, again, Dr. Dennis Carroll. Friday, Holly Baglio at 6 o'clock Central Africa time. Uh, Funny how Montauk's coming up a lot nowadays. I don't know, guys, we've got to be looking more and more into what's happening with the Montauk stuff, right? And then, of course, on Saturday, Beverly Rose again and Aquana. And we're going to be talking about the, let me get this right, skunk ape, right? And cryptids. So that should be super interesting. And yeah, so full weekend again. Sunday Loop, we will be on again with Sunday Loop. So look forward to seeing you guys there. And a great big hello to you all in the chat. Nice to see everybody. And even those of you who aren't in the chat, awesome to have you. Yeah. And without any further ado, Taran, Hakim, awesome
Thanks
to
for
see you. How are
yeah,
you?
good. I've been through like a heck of a lot of stuff, and that is why I haven't been here in so long. But it's good to be here and you know speak about some of the stuff with you and get this information out there to more people. So I really appreciate you giving me a platform to do that. Thank you.
No, absolutely. You have your own platform anyway. Do you want to maybe just tell people where they can get hold of you in the meantime?
Yeah, I've got my channel disclosure now with an explanation point. YouTube. I've got a Patreon. Patreon is just Arkheim Ra, and the Patreon is free, but you can subscribe just to pretty much all the posts other than some music stuff is free. So it's just you pay money just to support me. I'm trying to not paywall disclosure content as much as I can, but I do appreciate people's support. So that's the way that I've kind of been able to have my cake and eat it too. And yeah, I also have a band camp. I've realized recently I've kind of been shooting myself in the foot by not bringing this up. Like, I talk about how, and I'm going to be going into some more details that I haven't ever gone into publicly yet about the Montauk project when it comes to the music stuff. But basically, yeah, I do music in the here and now. It's bloth.bandcamp.com. So I've got music on there. I've got an album that I'm working on right now. It's going to be called Age of Truth. And it's basically all about just how this truth is coming out and it can't be stopped. The album is meant to activate people, to activate humanity. I've This is going to be my 11th album, I think, or something like that, or 10th or something. I've put out a lot
Oh,
of
wow.
singles, so but yeah, and I'm very proud of it. I think it's the best album I've ever made yet. In the here and now, my host alter, dealing with the limited technology I have, like recording on laptops and stuff like that. It took me a long time to get everything to sound the way I want it to. And this album that I'm working on now, I really feel like everything like sounds the way it sounds, good, crisp, clean, and it sounds the way I want it to. And I'm really the subject matter as well. So I'm really excited to put that out. And bloth.bandcamp.com. I do not put my music on Spotify because Spotify is it's evil. It's very evil. It's connected to the war machine. They're putting all their money into AI. They're putting all their money into the military, and they're connected to a cult that I unfortunately was a part of. I'm not too clear on that right now, but called Ordo Templum Nephilim, where they steal people's music through time travel programs and all this weird stuff. We're gonna get into that more, but I don't put my music on Spotify and stuff like that because of what they're used the money for. My music has already been used to fund a lot of evil things, and I don't want to do that anymore. I want to make people aware of that. Stop using Spotify. It's bad. It's really bad. Like there's better ways to listen to music, but I digress. Bloth.bandcamp.com if people want to check out my music, and I'm uploading more and more, both on the Patreon and on the Bandcamp, like sound baths, like 432 hertz music that is meant to, realign chakras, get rid of anxiety, just help you sleep, just all sorts of stuff. I've been getting really into that because I've been thinking about how Montauk weaponized music and did all this evil stuff with it, and it's time for us all. I don't want to be the only one, and I know I'm not the only one. There's already other musicians who are doing this as well, where we're putting out music where it's meant to be enlightening, help awaken people, and do positive things. So I highly encourage people to check that out, and I feel like it kind of verifies my testimony where I talk about how I've written songs like My Heart Will Go On and, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd and all this famous music. I wrote it in the programs, and I feel like me putting out my music in the here and now is proof, especially considering that, like, for instance, one of my albums is called Ghost Haunt. You can hear The Weeknd sound in that album, and you can't mistake that. Like, it's a thumbprint. Like, you can't replicate that. And so, yeah, I just feel like with the music I'm putting out, I've realized I've been not talking about it, and I should, because it's kind of verification of my testimony. So, yeah, so the Bandcamp, the Patreon, and my YouTube are like the main ways to find me. And I do have an email where people can get a hold of me as well. It's arkheimra@gmail.com. I try to be pretty good about communicating with people and being open. And I've met a lot of people that I know from the programs and things like that we knew in our other lives in the programs and stuff like that by keeping that line open. So I try to keep that line open. So that's basically how people can get a hold of me.
Perfect. And all your details will be in the description as well. So for those of you who have missed it, we will be popping up your information periodically anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think on the last show you and I did, which was a few months back now, but we spoke about music and the cloning within especially I think we were talking about in the music industry then as well, what goes on. It was quite horrifying actually. So it would be
Yeah.
really good to hear more about exactly your album. I mean, that's super exciting because I think it's so true what you're saying. You have to share it. Music is something to be shared. And, as much as what it can break us down spiritually as well, it also has the ability to absolutely build us up as well.
Well,
So, yeah, that's very cool.
that's the point of music is like it's supposed to be spiritually uplifting, and it's like just kind of naturally normally is spiritually uplifting, and it's one of the arcane arts. It's a form of magic that no matter how much we altered the timeline or whatever, we couldn't get rid of people being musical and doing music. You know how in certain Orthodox Muslim communities, music is forbidden. This is something that they would have
Yes.
loved to have done with every religion. I mean, even with the church, the Catholic Church, and stuff like that. It wasn't that music was forbidden; it was that the music must be worshiping God. Basically, the same thing, honestly, as the Orthodox Islam. They basically say the same thing because they do have religious music as well, and that's totally allowed. So I actually did an interview
Right.
with a guy a long time ago who was an Orthodox Muslim who grew up having to hide making music like he was like smoking pot or something like that. It was a very fascinating interview. And now he's a music producer and he does music for a living. So, you can't ever let your upbringing stop you from who
Wow.
you need to be. Anyway, I'm sorry if
Wow.
I'm getting off
That's
subject
so
here.
true.
But
No, 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 no worries, no worries.
I think something that I guess I could get into in the show for the first time that I really want to. It's almost like a confession. It's kind of weird. So I want people to understand that my memories of these programs are pretty disjointed, and I want to explain how it works. Essentially, I have dissociative identity disorder, meaning I have multiple personalities, pocket personalities within myself. They all have different names and what I found, and personalities and stuff like that. What I found, and this is what mainstream psychiatry doesn't understand yet about this, is they actually have their own lives within the programs. And basically through trauma-based mind control, they made different alters for different purposes at Montauk and other different facilities and different programs and stuff like that. And because of this, what will happen to me when I get my memories back is I'll either have flashbacks, and in these flashbacks, it's just that memory. So it's just that moment. I see it, and it's real, and it's visceral, and I know it's a memory. But then when people are like, okay, well, where were you? Who was the person? I can't answer those questions. It's like just the flash. And then there's also the aspect of the alters, what it's supposed to be. The reason why they do the 27, they deactivate a lot of assets at 27 is because you can get your memories back, and you can get your abilities back. And that's not good for them. They don't want that. So they try to deactivate you at a certain age. And because the programming breaks down. And that's what's happening for me, is the programming is breaking down. So I've had to that's part of the reason why I've had to slow down with the interviews and stuff like that, is I've been dealing with alters coming forward and all these things. But when they fully take over, I can actually go in the memories and remember all these different things. So I just want to explain to people how it works. I don't fully remember everything that happened to me in the programs. The stuff that I normally do remember is the very emotional, traumatic moments. And I found that the memory altering technology that they have that gives you amnesia, be it, trauma-based mind control or literal like mind wiping technology, it can't get rid of emotional connections and like emotions, like and like the physical, like your body physically carries certain things that happen to you, like emotionally, kind of energetically, and they can't get rid of those memories. So that's one of the things that's really activated me and woke me up, is my emotional attachment to certain things that happened to me in the programs. So something that happened to me recently that I realized, and this is gonna get pretty heavy for me, because I've tried to talk about this publicly. I've made videos. I've tried to upload them. I haven't been able to do it. It's really hard for me to talk about, and I'm just gonna talk about it here for the first time. So in these programs, I appreciate you giving me the platform to do it. Honestly, it's gonna feel good to get this off my chest. In the programs, there's this guy named Carl Emmerman, and it's only coming out very recently. Preston Nichols and all these guys have been talking about this for like 20 years, but nobody ever talked about Carl Emmerman until recently, and he's so important in the programs. He is like you think like Adolf Hitler is like the important Nazi, He's not. He's really not. Like, Carl Emmerman is like way more important than Adolf, in my opinion. And you want to know something about that guy? He's my dad. Carl Emmerman is my biological fucking father. Okay? You want me to bring up a picture of this guy for you? You want me to show him to you? Would you mind that?
Bring it up.
Oh, man, I'm even wearing my mustache like him. That's fucking weird. Holy cow. Okay, let me share this. Okay, man. And I want to be clear, like, I have been an SS officer. I have been basically, with, I don't know, better words of saying it, a Nazi. And I do not support the Reich. I don't support that agenda. It's just where I come from. I've learned a lot from it, okay? And no, I'm actually against the Reich. I'm against what the Nazis do. I'm not about it. I'm very angry at my father and all the things that he put me through, to be honest with you. But this is him. This is Carl Emmerman. And he is literally my biological father. Here's another picture of him. We'll go into images. This is the one where you can see my dad and him. Here's another one. Wow. And dude, when I showed this guy to my like my family in the here and now, which it's weird. You can get rid of the screen if you want. It's really weird, but like, my mom is actually my daughter. She was born in France on a time mission. And this life now is confusing to me. I don't know what's going on with it. I think it's a time mission, and I think it has to do with stopping an AI. That's what I think is going on. I think that all of us Montauk people right now There's like more than 20 of us talking publicly right now, and we're all real. We know each other. Like, I think we're here to stop something. I think this is a time mission. Right. That's what I'm starting to realize. And what I'm remembering, too, is we already were working with 2 AIs with Montauk, and I think the one that is trying to come might be bad, and these other AI are like actually more positive, trying to help. I don't know. I don't mean to digress too much with that, but I want to explain, because people are like, the biological father, and here now it's a different guy who I guess is I was talking to Alondra Markman about it, who was also a public Montauk person, and I showed him pictures of my dad. He's like, I believe that is your nephew. So your dad's actually your nephew. I know it's weird, but I believe I remember him from the programs, and I believe that's your nephew, is what he told me. And that resonates with me. I love my dad. Wow. He raised me well as a father, so I give him credit where it's due. And here now, I have different biological parents. So Penny Bradley, public Penny Bradley, super soldier Penny Bradley, that is my biological mother. Like, that's my biological mom. Like, that's craziness. So my biological parents are Carl Emmerman, who was the head of Project Ibis, which was incarnating the ancient Egyptian gods into human flesh. Okay? And this is where I lose some people, but I just don't care, because the truth is more important than whether people can handle it. I am Ra. I am the ancient Egyptian sun god Ra. Like, in human form, literally. Look, it took me months for me to process that. Amir Jahangiri, you can go back. It's somewhere in my live streams. He did like a session with me. Or it's on his channel, one or the other. And he was the one who told me, dude, you're Ra. And I was like, what? like he was the one who figured it out. And then I read my brother's book, John Whitberg, okay, who, not half brother, different mom, but Emmerman's his father. And he's talking about Project Ibis, and Emmerman was like the commander of Project Ibis. And it's hard for me to piece it all together. This isn't from memory entirely, but from what I can understand, all of his kids were created through like Nazi blood sex magic rituals. And he purposely was incarnating the human gods in human form to put them in the programs. And that's why I say I have a lot of qualms against old Emmerman. Well, the old man is what people call him in the programs, because he's so many people's father. That's why they call him the old man. He's so many people's father. These programs are very incestuous, because they're all about DNA and bloodlines and all this weird stuff, which is, Nazi eugenics, which I think is weird and creepy. I want people to realize, like, just because I got put in these programs and I've been an SS officer and I've done all these things, it's complicated. That doesn't mean that I agree with that. I don't agree with a lot of the things that my father did. I think they were wrong. And another thing I want to explain too, because this is something that people don't understand and they get confused by, with the Nazi Project Paperclip and stuff like that, and how that we brought the Nazis over here and how they're working they started working for our government. What a lot of people don't understand is obviously the Americans, the United States, and the Nazi Germans don't like each other, don't get along. We fought a war against each other where lots of people died. That is real history. There's people who try to say that like didn't happen and it's not real. Oh, that happened. That definitely happened. There's actually, it's even crazier. There were like ET in some of these battles and stuff, and they covered it up. Like there are little aliens in European cities with like laser guns and shit. They covered that all up. It's even crazier and worse. It's not like they exaggerated it. I'm trying to, but what I'm trying to get at here is, I forgot the point I was trying to make with Emmerman and
you were talking about Nazi Germany and Operation Paperclip.
Oh, okay. The thing that you need to understand is, even though the Nazis and the Americans don't like each other, we're human. We're team human. Even I was struggling for the longest time to understand this. How did we fight a war against each other, but yet there's Nazi scientists working here? There's Nazi corporations that are thriving in the United States, and the government, the American government and our military must know it. Dude, it's because of the Lizzies. The lizard people. None of us, no human, we don't like the fucking lizards. We might hate the Nazis and the Nazis hate us, but we both hate you know what they say, if you have a common enemy, then you're friends, right? And until you beat that enemy, which is the lizards, you're friends. So we might have our skirmishes, and we might not get along, and they might have their own colonies over there, and we have our own colonies over here because of our differences in politics and things like that. But that's where it's like finally like, oh yeah, that's why we were willing to work with each other in so many instances, is because it wasn't just about making America stronger or making Nazi Germany stronger. Because that never made sense to me, those two things, because I know there's Nazi time travel programs. So why were there Nazis at Montauk? That didn't make sense to me. Now I get it. It's because they were helping each other. They had a lot of common interests, like a hell of a lot of common interests. They might not agree on, how the economic structure of the planets should be run, or how breeding should be done, and should you allow certain races on the planet and all that other stuff. They might disagree on those finer details, but at the end of the day, no one likes the lizard overlords, and they are our overlords. That's another thing that people need to understand. We kind of just have to listen to them. They're extremely fucking powerful. During the Orion Wars, there was a Stargate that the Lyran Empire and the Orion Empire were going towards, okay? And when they got to the Stargate together, all hell broke loose, and that was the Orion Wars. And they went through that portal and went to all these different planets, and they decimated the Lyran Empire. They absolutely fucking decimated the Lyran Empire. And since that moment, they have been in control of the galaxy. The United States has to give the Draconian Empire 10,000 human beings every year. 10,000 human beings every year, okay? And this is to be eaten. To eat. Not for their armies or for secret space programs or anything. To eat them. We have to willingly hand over 10,000 of our own kind annually for lizard people to eat them. And that is them laying their dicks in our faces and saying, we fucking own you, fuck you. You need to understand how bad it is. There's nothing we can do about the lizard people owning us. It will take thousands of years in order to reverse the damage that's been done by them. And that's just being realistic. But I just want to explain. So that's why, despite Montauk being a time travel program that is in the United States, and it is the Air Force and the Navy that were in charge of it, there were Nazi Project Paperclip scientists. And I think that there's a bit of a narrative where it was like either they were forced to be sent here or they came at their own accord or whatever. And it's more or less like a lot of it had to do with lizard people and protecting the timeline, which sounds crazy. But if you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. We made humanity. You'd be surprised how bad it could be, how worse it could be if it wasn't for human beings getting time travel technology and fighting back and stuff like that. It's to the point where you look at some of the stuff that these evil Nazis did, and yeah, they're evil Nazis, but it's like, thank God they did certain things to the timeline. They helped humanity. Broken clocks strike right sometimes. You know what I mean? So it's like, and yeah, I just want to understand that, like, I want people to understand, like, if you want to understand time travel programs, Montauk, all the stuff that I'm talking about, it's not a simple dip your toes in. This is esoteric information. It's a disservice to the information to think you can watch one show about it and walk away from it and understand it. This is the covered up history of mankind we're talking about. The politics of it are extremely complicated. The time travel aspects of it and how it all worked are extremely complicated. And yeah, I just ask people to just be patient and take in the information and learn about it as much as possible. And dude, there's so many Montauk time soldiers. I'm going to name out some names real quick. David Purcell, Christy Campbell, Joseph Powell, Alondra Markman, Penny Bradley, Drago Reed, Veronica Bartonelli. I could just keep on going on. There's so many of us. John Whitberg, who is my brother, who a lot of this information that I'm telling you, I'm going to be real. I read his books, and it's stuff that I forgot about until I read his books. His books are The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes. He doesn't talk to me right now. These programs are deep, man. He's mad at me. Like, my own brother doesn't talk to me because of the stuff that he remembered about me in the programs. That's how real this shit is. And even though that's going on, I'm telling you about his books, even though I'm mad at him because he won't talk to me, because they're so deep and so real, and the disclosure movement and the real testimony that is there is more important than or a little quarrel that we're having right now. And yeah, I learned a lot about myself through those books, The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes. There's a part 1, 2, and 3, and it's very much so short stories about the programs, missions, stuff like that, but it paints a picture of what was going on and what it was like. And reading the second book in particular, which I didn't read the whole thing. I skimmed through it, and I'll go back to it when I'm a little more mentally ready, but I found out a lot of things about myself by reading his book. And it was pretty hard. You want to know what I found out, Chantelle?
Please, I'd love to.
There's an orb floating around in here. I don't know if you just saw that. It was right on the screen. People are going to rewind and see it if they want. So, yes, I was kidnapped and brought into the project against my will. I want to make that clear. And I was brought in there as a child. I remember the dog cages. I remember all that. But I was given a lot of privilege for reasons that I'm still trying to understand. I think it had to do with the fact that I could open portals, obviously, to like other realities. It also had to do with the music, though. And I don't understand why they chose me, but I want to confess to this right now. And it is very much so feel like a confession. So there were nine people who were on the third sub-level of the Montauk facility at Camp Hero that had their own offices. This was people like John B. Alexander, who's alive and here now. Preston Nichols, who his alter was Nicholas. So everyone called him Nicholas. Bielik. People like that. But I had my own office. And I was made the director of cultural exchange for the Montauk Project. Meaning, I sold all the songs. I was in charge of the music. All of the music at Montauk. I was fucking in charge of it. It was me. So, if you recorded a song at Montauk and you got it stolen from you, I did that. I was in charge of that. I did not explain to the assets what was being done with the songs. I just told them, write music. We like music here at Camp Hero. And we did. It was a huge part of the culture there. If we were having like free time, what did they call it? They had a name for it, like a military term for it. Downtime or whatever. We were listening to music. We were listening to records. We wrote all this music. Like all these songs. And created for the like, and it was, we made all this money off of it, put money into the programs, put programs into the songs to make certain things turn out certain ways. It's really deep. But yeah, I found out that I am the one who was in charge of the music at Montauk. And I was the one who wrote. There's 3 people who wrote the most songs. And I'm one of them who wrote the most. I'm one of the most prolific songwriters who ever exists in all of human history. And it's a burden that I carry now. It's not something that I'm proud of. And yeah, I in in the book, in Whitberg's books, my brother's books, you know, he talks about how Preston Nichols would have sandwiches brought in from Germany and Tokyo through portals. This lady would bring him sandwiches and stuff like that. And I'm just kind of explaining to you how they groomed me and made me who I was. So when I was a child, like I'm talking 7 or 8 years old, and I was at Montauk, Preston was like, I was like Morty, and he was like Rick. Except he sexually abused me. You know, which is a disservice to the character Rick from Rick and Morty, because Rick would never, that character would never do that. But I digress. That is what it was like. And you'd have this sandwich brought in every day, and so he had one of those these rooms. It was like an office where you could look around and you could see. There's like a term for it. It's in prisons. They have the same thing. The thing that's in the middle where you can see everything going on, and the surrounding was cages, rooms that were cages, and then training facilities basically. And in that office, you could see in the office. And all the children were fed dog food and kept in cages. And every day, Preston would call me in his office, and he'd have one of these big sandwiches brought in, and he would cut off half the sandwich and feed it to let me eat it in front of all the other kids who were eating dog food. And this was to make all the other kids hate me and make it so he was the only person I could go to, because I was so close to him. And this is the guy that was programming them all, torturing them, raping them. They hated me because I got special privileges and I wasn't kept in a cage. Wow. There's real crazy stuff going on right now. And so eventually these kids, they would all bully me and pick on me, of course, because of this. Which is like I said, like I'm saying, like I could only go to Preston if I wanted a shoulder to cry on or someone to talk to or someone to do anything with. That was the only person I could go to. And one day, in the training facility, the kids ganged up on me, and they all started beating the shit out of me. And from what I recall, Preston was around, or maybe he wasn't around, I don't know, but this was done on purpose. There's people who could have stopped it, and they didn't, basically. And normally they would have, and I should have questioned it, but I didn't. Should have known it was a setup thing. But I was a kid. Actually, I'm gaslighting myself. How the fuck was I supposed to know? It activated my fight or flight because I thought I was gonna die. And I'm powerful, okay? It's a curse, not a gift. I'm not bragging about it, okay? I'm extremely fucking psionically powerful, and there's a reason I get kidnapped a lot and put in these programs. Jessica Jones remote viewed it. Those are her words, not mine. The best in the business. I am the fucking best in the business. It's a curse, okay? And I started psionically choking all of them. There's like 8 or 9 of them. All at once. Pushed them against the wall with my telekinesis. And from that moment on, I was the choke chain. So anytime that if one child stepped out of line, everybody got tortured by me. Me. I tortured them. So I just kind of wonder, a lot of the times when people call me a grifter and say that I'm making this up, why the fuck would I make any of this shit up? Why would anybody admit to this? You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, no. Like, I've really never been one to talk myself up about all this great stuff I did in the programs. Now I found out though, because I don't want to be defeatist. I found out that we do fight back, and there are authors that I have that are working with positive groups. And there's people in these programs who are mad at me for being Jacob Rothschild. That was my name, by the way. Wasn't Jacob Emmerman. I don't think I even knew dude was my dad in the programs. I thought I was a test tube baby. I thought it was totally made with like science. Sorry. Do you have any questions? I'm like going on and on here, and I'm kind of getting lost. You're muted, I think.
I'm absolutely enjoying listening to you speak. I don't think you're getting lost at all. And I appreciate you actually sharing what you are, because I think it's never easy. Never easy to speak about that. But also, I think what I think a lot of people battle to understand is the dual lives that you were actually living, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, like, because
So-
you got to understand, like, a lot of these events that I'm telling you about, I found out about them through John's book, or Joseph Powell told me about them. Like, I do not remember choking that event that I just told you about, choking all the kids and stuff. I emotionally kind of remember it, but Joseph Powell, who is Jimmy, by the way, no surname, and we just called him Jimmy. He was the one who told me about that. And it's always other people. It's like, I'm not making this up. I find out about this stuff from other people. Like, in John Whitberg's book, I am Ivan Roth. He changes the name, which that's really respectful of him to do that, honestly. Despite the fact that he's fucking
Right.
pissed off at me, that like it shows that he still cares about me. I miss my brother so fucking much. It's really fucking hard to find out all these things. And I wish he would have just fucking told me. You didn't have to write it in a book. He could have just told me. And I would have believed him. I just wish you'd understand that. I just wish people would understand, like, how manipulated I was. And how I wouldn't have ever wanted to be that way. You know, and it's in his book. My wife Sandra is in the book, and I get to learn how controlling I was of her, how abusive I was towards her. And all I can say is I'm sorry that I was that way. They took my first, like, there's a part in the book where she's gone for a second. All right? We have portals, and we can go off and fuck off into portals, and it's kind of not of a big deal. We can just go to ancient China or ancient Japan and come back, and it's whatever. People did it all the time. But my wife decided to do it without telling me once. And I absolutely fucking lost my shit. I lost my fucking mind. And from his perspective, it's in the book. He comes into the room. I'm screaming at this kid who just opened the portal that Sandra went through. And I'm like, where the fuck did you send her? I'm screaming. And he's like dazed. He's not answering me because he just opened a portal. You're fucking dazed for a good minute before you can talk to people. But I'm so angry. Logic doesn't fucking matter to me in that moment. I smack him on the ground. I'm still screaming. Like, I literally smacked this little kid so hard he fucking flew onto the ground. And I got on top of him and I'm screaming at him. And it turns out my wife just went to ancient Japan to get a sword she wanted. It was like this sword that she read about that she thought was really cool, and she just wanted it. And so here I absolutely fucking melt down, smack some kid on the floor. I think I send him or someone through the portal to get her. And yeah, she was just trying to get a sword. But what people don't understand and it's not in the book, and I don't think John understood it either, or his alter, I think it was Alexander. I don't think his alter understood that she was my second wife at Montauk. First one did go through a portal at one point, and then I never saw her again. So I had this trauma attached to that, like a huge trauma of my wife going through a portal and then disappearing forever. For fucking ever. And you want to know when I saw her again? In the here and now, in this life. She lives in Appleton, Wisconsin, and they made me go to like the same school with her and grow up with her and stuff like that. It's the mind fuck. That was when couldn't find her through all time and space, and then the next thing you know, I'm living in the same town as her.
I think it's such an incredible, for the normie, let's call it the normie, as much as what we can refer to ourselves as that. Understand what you've been through, and manipulation and the control and the alters and all of that. I think it's...
And I don't want to excuse my behavior either. I mean, I'm sorry. What I did was wrong. Like, I know it was mind control. I was under stress. I was under duress. But that doesn't excuse it. I still am sorry. I still hurt people. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? I'm still sorry. And I want people to understand that. I want people to understand that. I am sorry. I'm sorry for everything I did. I'm sorry. I was not a good person. You're going to learn from so many people who come forward that I was not a good person in the programs, that I was very evil. There's multiple people who talk about me. Some of them use my name, some of them don't. And it's verification of the fact that these programs are real. Because if this was all bullshit and we were all just grifters trying to make money, I would just come on here and say, oh, they're lying. I'm actually awesome. No, they're right. I was a monster. They called me the Shield of Baphomet. All right? From what I can understand, Jacob Rothschild, the one in the here and now that people know about, is a shape-shifting reptile person. And he is Baphomet. Either that or he's very deeply intrinsically connected to him. But basically, how these reptile people work is they don't want to deal with humans. They don't talk to humans. It's below them. That's like talking to a cow or something to them. Or it's just like they won't do that. So they use intermediary humans who have Draco DNA like myself. And so that's why I had this name, Jacob Rothschild, even though there's another Jacob Rothschild that everybody knows about as the Mr. Burns is literally from The Simpsons is based on him. But yeah, that was my name, was Jacob Rothschild. And, my name in the original reality that I was born in was Jacob Emmerman. But I was, I guess, sold off to the Rothschilds by Emmerman is what I'm guessing. Because there's a whole lot of that. And that's why, he's more of like a sperm donor than a father. Because it was like, all we really were was soldiers for his army to him. To get more power and stuff. And, he didn't tell us that he was their dad 9 out of 10 times. He fucking tell us that stuff. We didn't know this guy barking orders at you. You didn't know he was your dad. Like, it's just such a crazy thing.
Right.
I know it's a lot to take in.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry, there was just a bit of a lag. Every now and again there's a bit of a lag, and I can hear an echo when I talk. So that's what's going on here. It's very interesting what you're saying. And I think, Akim, we understand for sure on this channel that people like yourself have been literally manipulated and programmed to do their worst type of evil. And that's why we really appreciate when you come up, you come forward, you speak, you share. And I really want you to know, myself and everyone on this platform really does appreciate that. Um, I think there has to be a huge kind of light within you to be able to acknowledge the evil that you've done and to be able to take responsibility for that, because the truth really does set us free. So I appreciate that and thank you. And whatever is coming up, we understand. As you say, human beings have been used, DNA has been used. Um, these lizard creatures are on another level when, I mean, no one really knows except people like yourself. So it's wonderful that you are talking, and thank you.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
we really
important
do
too to
appreciate that.
mention. It's important to mention that just like there are humans who are vegan who don't believe in eating animals, which I eat meat. I'm not trying to make that argument, but I'm just saying and comparing. Um, there are like reptilians who don't believe in the way that we're treated by their kind. They believe that we should be given more respect,
Yeah.
and so I want people to realize that there are good reptilians out there, and they're not all bad. There's a gargoyle looking reptilian that a lot of people talk about. That was at Montauk that helped the children a lot of different times, and he could have gotten a lot of trouble for it. Like he could have gotten his own ass handed to him for some of the things that he did for us. That's because he's a good being. So it's really important, same thing with AI too. Like I talk about AI and the danger of AI a lot, and there's some pretty evil, like messed up AI systems, but there's also ones that are great and good, and they're benevolent. And
Yeah, for sure.
so we
Absolutely.
can't always. It's like prejudice is always a kind of a bad thing. You should never paint a whole group of people, be it sentient AI or a race of humans, with the same brush. It's just not something that people should do because it's an inaccurate way of looking at things 9 out of 10 times.
I fully agree with that. I think everything, and I always go back to the same old story, discernment. This is time where you really have to be spiritually strong. We have to be able to practice discernment and act accordingly, because that's really going to be the only thing. Our humanity at the end of the day is what saves us. Your connection to your creator, your connection to nature, to the divine, to each other, to our emotional relationships, the caring, the communities that we have. That's our strength, the soulfulness. I mean, it's really the opposite of the soulless place that AI takes us to, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
it's important to remember your soul and who you belong to. And that is really the epitome of our well being here. So AI is good to use. Hey, I got to tell you that ChatGPT, there's nothing like ChatGPT when I've got to do a quick title and a description for a show. Within 3 seconds, that thing's there, boy. It saves me half an hour. So there's definitely ways that I prefer also to use it, but never to lose your soul. We can understand that there's a balance in everything, and we have to maintain that balance. And as long as you're maintaining that balance, you know, um, and truth sets us free. So the music, as you say, the music, listening to music at certain hertz, really just activates something within you. But you can also be playing that god awful, blood draining music that knocks every iota of light out of you with every drum beat, whatever it's called. I don't know. But for me, that really makes a difference. So to go with the stuff that works, along with that spiritual discernment, we have to go with the stuff that makes us happy. We have to bring joy into our lives. Even though there's so much shit going on out there, we have to be able to go into nature and appreciate the beauty of nature despite what's happening around us. That's how we keep the good vibes going. That's how we keep the energy going. It's not just about being so spiritually true that you have nothing else. Go out, play with your kids, ride your bicycle, enjoy the beach, laugh, laugh with your buddies, do whatever. These are the things that make us human. We must never ever
Yeah,
forget
not
that.
staring at your
We must
phone all
never.
day or sitting on a computer all day. That's for sure. That's not what makes us human.
Exactly. Exactly. We've got to stay in touch with our humanity. That's for sure.
Yes.
The, J- the Jimmy Osmond song, yes, Captain, definitely. You know that one. I'll be hard
Um,
headed lover from Liverpool. Jimmy
I might
Osmond
have
is
to
my
hear it.
favorite Osmond.
Oh, the Osmonds, yeah. Um, there is something else I wanted to talk about here on this podcast, your
Yeah.
podcast, that would be, I think, palatable to your audience. That's very hard to talk about. And I want to talk about how REM, mind retrieval technology or consciousness retrieval technology works. And I'm sure a lot of people are familiar because they're going to bring it up with the testimony of like Donald Marshall. And he talks about how there's basically these cloning centers, and he wakes up down there and all this stuff. I have similar experiences to what he has had happen to him, and because of my work in the programs, I know a lot about it. And basically, so underneath Epstein's island, there's a whole like underground facility. I'm sure you've probably even talked about it on your show, right? And there's
Yeah.
genetic, basically like he's knocking up a bunch of different women, and it has to do with the idea of like the Superman and creating the super race, and it has to do with basically the elite believe that their DNA is better, and they believe in eugenics, so they believe that they got to breed to make humanity stronger and better and all this weird crazy shit. But essentially, they have a cloning facility that I believe Epstein is connected to. The memories of it are kind of blurry, and there's more than one facility like this. But basically, they have this technology where you can wake up down there, and this is only, it costs so much money that you have to have a certain kind of net worth to even hear about it. It's only the very, very upper elite that have access to this technology. But basically, Epstein showed this technology to what's his name? The guy in the wheelchair, the creep in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawking's.
Yes.
Stephen Hawkins, yeah. Stephen Hawkins is obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. People can look into that. He had a picture of her in his bathroom. There's a lot of guys that are obsessed with Marilyn Monroe in a very sexualized, creepy way. Anyway, she's a Montauk time soldier. Her name in the programs was Norma Jean. And yes, I know her. I know Norma. But unfortunately, she has a sex kitten altar that is extremely popular. You can, because what they have catalogs. Okay, these exist. I am in these catalogs of basically Egyptian gods, certain individuals that are connected to certain bloodlines, or just people who are very sexually attractive that you can purchase time with in these cloning facilities. And for example, two people know that I met certain people in the know I wrote all these songs. So I've woken up just for people to make music with me. I've woken up there for all sorts of weird reasons. But it's usually sexual stuff, which unfortunately, because human beings are fucking perverts, I guess. I don't know why, but it's so often sexual stuff. And basically, yeah, down there, Stephen Hawking's Epstein showed them the technology, and he woke up down there and he had a body again. And man, not being in a wheelchair in his whole life and having to have people taking care of him, and then going from that to having a body. psychologists have got to study this or something because it made him a psychopath, dude. Like, he's a psychopath down there. Like, seriously, he's like one of the worst. Like, he's what's the word for it? Known. I don't know. He's known. People know. Like, hopefully you don't have to fucking deal with this guy. And yeah, he's obsessed with Marilyn Monroe. And this memory is one of those memories where it's kind of out of context, but I encountered this I've worked for Arasaka Robotics. And they're a highly advanced corporation in the future that interacted with Montauk. And basically, if you're in a time travel project, you're going to end up probably interacting with Arasaka. They're very powerful. And oh my god, ADHD. What was this? Oh yeah. I remember what I was going to talk about now. This is going to get dark, you guys. This is really fucked up. This is going to be hard to talk about. So I remember this company that sells the consciousness transferal to elite clients. And I don't know if this is already happening or not because it's kind of a disjointed memory, but this is a real memory. I know it's real. And basically it's a Japanese company, and the advertisement shows so fucked up, dude. It shows like this elderly, like grandpa aged Asian man with his family, and they're doing all this stuff. And then it shows them in the underground facility, like doing bad stuff to kids. Like, fucking just can't even repeat it bad. And then it shows how, like, he wakes up and unplugs or whatever, and then he goes down and he has dinner with his family. And they're like, and it's like the name of the thing that's like, they never have to know. And there's an advertisement where he's doing it to his own granddaughter. That's one of the advertisements. And when she sees him in the real life, it shows in the advertisement how she's all afraid of him. And he's just like laughing, like, I don't know. And they're just like, the end of it is the same. They never have to know. In Japanese, though, obviously. That's real technology that exists on Earth. I don't know who has technology, like access to it. I'm pretty sure this was on a breakaway planet.
Wow.
The one I'm telling you about now, but that same technology, it might not be on the commercial access market, but it exists. And I remember in that program, it was 10,000 yen just to try it. Like, you get to put it on, and they prove basically it's real, that you actually do wake up down there. And then I don't know how much it is but it's very expensive to use. You have to be extremely wealthy to be a client to these people. And what the people don't know either is they're filming all of it. So depending on who you are, a lot of people they leave alone. But if you have anything they want, they'll use it to blackmail you. So that's another thing that the people don't realize about it. It's like, yeah, it might not be real, but it fucking is real, and they're filming it, you dumbasses. So yeah, that's a thing that exists. Like, people think the world is bad enough already. Sorry to burst your bubble. Humanity can sink even lower than you can imagine. Wow. You can also do some really cool, loving stuff. I'm sorry to be so negative. Humans are capable of being really awesome, and it's taken a lot of dark magic and satanic mind control to even make so many men attracted to children. That's mind control. The Satanists did that. Like, it's not normal. Like, it's normal to be attracted to women that can have children. That's what sex is for, reproducing. Being attracted to children is abnormal and weird, and it's supposed to be like this very weird mental illness that rarely occurs. And only through satanic mind control programming has it become, look around you, it's becoming more and more of a problem. It is. Everybody sees it. It's mind control. That's why. And the internet's not fucking helping. It's purposely getting people addicted to porn and then pushing their habits further and further until they go down that sick rabbit hole. Like, it's intentional. And I just want to remind people that we're not that dark. We've been programmed to be that dark. Garden of Eden, hanging out in the forest, drinking wine and eating berries and shit. That's what we're good at as humans, making art, painting, doing cool stuff. We're not supposed to be doing all this dark shit. Archonic forces came in from other realities, satanic forces and stuff like that, and they're the reasons that we've become this way. We're not supposed to, like, it's taken heavy duty mind control programming to make, like I said, Chantelle, think about it. Like, how is it? And I know there's, homosexual people and stuff like that. There's all people are into things and that don't necessarily have to do with reproduction. They always have. But I just don't believe that this surge of it that we're seeing now, this problem, it's just no, they're manufacturing it. The dark ones love this. They love it. And they're all PDF files. They all are. I know, because I was in there. I was in it, man. I've been abused since I've been a baby. Since a literal baby. That's when they started with me. These people are real fucking sick.
Yeah, that's true. The question I have for you then, just interesting there, when you talk about humanity getting up to all this dark stuff, I think part of the reason we are targeted, is so multi-layered, but really because our souls are pliable. In other words, they can literally invert us. The possibility exists within the human soul to be anything, right? So that's why from the get-go, they will start torturing babies. They will start hurting them, traumatizing them, making sure their empathy is gone, making them into these cold-blooded creatures.
That's what they did to me.
That the lizards are. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
And and here's another thing too.
Really,
you know about the adrenochrome, right? Obviously, and the rituals and how they use it in the rituals. Where do you think that comes from? Monkey see, monkey do. The lizards love adrenochrome. They eat us alive and stuff. Where do you think that comes from? That comes from them. We're just copying them.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so many of the royals are lizards. They're lizards. That's not hyperbole or whatever. They're literally shape-shifting lizard people. It's hard for people to comprehend, but we're living in a computer. Everything is holographic consciousness, and they can just make themselves appear human. That's seriously it. People overcomplicate it. They're not even actually human. It's just, this is a thought matrix, and just boop, oh, we're human now. I look human. I've encountered reptile people in the here and now, man. There's this guy in Portland that walks around with a bulldog, and he terrorizes homeless people with his bulldog because he knows nobody cares about the homeless. He's a reptile. It's a loosh harvesting thing. Like, they walk among us, dude. Absolutely. It's not just the elite and the royals and stuff.
I agree. I most definitely agree. And it's true what you say, because what they've done is they've taken a certain element of humans, or certain percentage of humans rather, and corrupted, and been able to corrupt them. And they know exactly how to corrupt us. They know exactly what our weaknesses are. They've been doing it for millennia and centuries. So now it's a lot easier.
And a lot of people
become.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, they wanted to kidnap Jesus and turn him into a time soldier. Jesus Christ of Nazareth. But God, or something like the timeline is what we said. It just wouldn't work. We couldn't do it. But what they wanted to literally do was turn Jesus Christ himself into the Antichrist. That was a plan they concocted, but it wouldn't work. But what I'm getting here is, I have a feeling that I didn't come from darkness and get brought into darkness. I have a feeling that I was actually a very positive being. My memory is blurry, and I know I've made a lot of mistakes in my ancient paths. I've fucked up. We all have. But I think overall, I'm actually a really good being that believes in like justice for like even the little guy that is lesser than me. And I feel like that's the reason why they had to take me. It's not because I'm some evil piece of shit. They're like, oh, this guy, he's awesome. He's a really good guy. He's of the light. He's going to help the world. We got to turn this guy into a piece of shit for sure. We definitely got to make this guy evil and make him work for us. He's powerful. That's what I think it is they're like, well, you see that power? Instead of just extinguishing that light, what if we turn it into a flame and make it work for us? You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's like,
Right.
power outside of their hands to them is dangerous. So like if they see a power, instead of snuffing it out, well, it might reappear somewhere else or whatever. If they see power, what they want is to control it. So that's why I think so many people that were in the projects are very beautiful, bright, loving souls that wanted nothing more than to incarnate into this time in this place to help humanity kind of evolve and stuff. Like the Indigo Children. You remember hearing about that? You were around. And they're talking about the elder Indigo Children are coming in, and it's gonna raise the vibration of humanity. And since we're kind of still digressing a lot as mankind is, people are like, "Oh, that must have been all BS." No, it's true. Many children incarnated, and they were indigos, and they were here to like help and like do all this groovy stuff. But we didn't understand it, and the dark ones did. And they took that's what do you think the talented and gifted program is here in the United States? They literally do all these weird tests on you to figure out if you're psychic, if you have any abilities that can help them, and then they take you if you do. That's every child in the United States, any child that's been through the public school system. So that tells me that there are millions in these programs. I don't think it's hundreds.
Right.
I don't think it's thousands. I think it's fucking millions of people.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me, because it's like what I was saying, they've been doing this for so long and in such a clandestine way that definitely the average person has been dumbed down to this. And as they're doing these programs, they're dumbing the rest of the world down at the same time with other means. So they've really just gained more and more control over time, most definitely. And of course, they always go for the kids. So whether the kids, in my opinion, are consciously or physically in these programs or not, I reckon they've certainly tagged a lot of them as well. And maybe to access them at a later stage or something like that.
And the programming goes very deep. I want to talk about some other stuff. Some of the stuff I remember it, and as I remember it, I'm like, well, let's talk about it. I know it's not really in the description what I'm about to talk about now, but I think it's important. So in these programs, as a child, I was shown a lot of pornographic material, and I am pretty much positive that Hanna-Barbera Studios has made a lot of cartoon porn, and same thing with Disney. Disney's made a lot of cartoon porn, and I've even seen, swear to God, I have seen Bugs Bunny fucking Michael Jordan, the cartoon Bugs Bunny. They showed that to us.
What?
Yes, and basically the idea is we're kids. We're not into sex. So they warm us up to it with the cartoons, and they show like sexualized cartoon characters, and then they programmed us into being sexual that way as children. They turned us into wanting sex, because children don't want sex. Children aren't supposed to want sex. So that was how they programmed us into our sex kitten programming, was by showing us like cartoon porn. And then there's another thing that they do with which many people have talked about this, but I'm just reiterating because I know about it. Underneath Disney World, when kids disappear there a lot, they will get assaulted by the characters in costume, and the guys will have little holes so their members can come out. And I've been a real common one is little girls will be put in a room with the stuffed teddy bear, and then all of a sudden the stuffed teddy bear gets up and it's alive and a dick comes out and stuff. It's real fucked up stuff. But Yeah, so a lot of sexual programming, and just I have seen and experienced the worst of the worst when it comes to what these people do in these programs. There is an operation that I was a part of during Montauk. This is another confession here. And basically, we went to Southeast Asia, and John Lennon is a Montauk time soldier. He was on this mission. And his alter's name, I believe, was Harold. I wrote it down somewhere. I remembered his full name, Harold Gottfried. Yeah, Harold Gottfried. That was his name, his alter's name, and he was a lieutenant colonel in the United Kingdom Royal Army. And he was working with. I was the United States guy, and he was the UK guy. We were working together, and we were building this deep underground military base in Southeast Asia. And on that mission, basically, I remember going to Southeast China. We did a scouting to try to figure out where to start boring and all that stuff, and where to start digging. And we built an giant underground structure. And little did I know, while I was building this, I was literally building one of my the eventual hell for one of my own altars. Because what this facility in Southeast China was turned into was turned into a snuff film factory, literally. This was made in the late 1800s, and it still exists to this day. And through some sort of technology, there are kids that were kidnapped in the 1800s that people have seen on the dark web, because it's the secret space programs. It doesn't matter that it was the 1800s. They had cameras. So that's a mind fuck that is going to be hard to understand. And another thing that I know to be true is I've been raped by minotaurs. I've been in sexual situations where, like, I fucked a girl who was an angel. She had angel wings and stuff, and like just all sorts of crazy things. And I know that there are people that watch this stuff. I know that it's being filmed. I see the cameras when I'm there, when I wake up there, and this all happens. And I am positive that there are people that know that the secret space programs are real, and that aliens are real, and that all this stuff is real because they've found it on the dark web while they're looking at porn. Like, I know that there are people that have had to have found the programs are real from porn. Like, minotaurs are real. You can find footage of them raping humans and fucking humans. There's a book on the internet called it was extremely popular. It's called Morning Glory Milking Farm, and it's a sexualized book about minotaurs. It's extremely popular. It's got over 14,000 reviews on Amazon. You can't tell me that there aren't people into this shit. There are. And so I've experienced that. Yeah, I've experienced that. And I forgot what I was going to say about it. I have ADHD, so if I have this thing where a new thought opens and it closes the other thought when the other thought I want it open still. It's like the tab closes when I still want it open. So that's why sometimes, like, I freeze. I apologize.
No, absolutely no. I mean, this is absolutely off the wall information. I mean, that is absolutely insane.
Yeah, they're very common in the underground world. They're usually guards. They carry around the minotaurs. They carry around axes. They oftentimes will guard doorways, and they wear like loincloths. And they'll have a lot of times they'll have rings in their noses, and yeah, they're extremely minotaurs. And Baal worship, it's just worshiping minotaurs. It's not one being. That's a misnomer. They like feasting on human flesh. They like adrenochrome. So what'll happen is human beings will do adrenochrome rituals and basically do, sexual stuff to kids, and then cut them and then kill them and start drinking the blood. And a Baal creature of Minotaur will come through the portal and participate in the ritual and drink the blood and stuff like that. And what I remember from being in these rituals when it happened to me, because they'd say, "Do you want to pray to your God?" I'd be like, they'd be like, "No, it's allowed. Go ahead, pray, beg, scream, plead." And, I would sometimes. I'd be like, "God, help me. God, Jesus, in Jesus' name, come and help me." Nobody ever came. And then they're like, "All right, we're going to call upon our God now." And they do a ritual, and then Baal will come through and start eating a kid in front of me. And they'd be like, "See, our God's real. Our God actually shows up when we ask our God to show up. Where's your God? Is he going to help you? They fucking really did that to us, dude. I swear to God. Another thing that they do is they will have somebody who is like dressed to be Jesus assault the kids. So it's just like there's this real programming to try to make you think that God doesn't love you, that God doesn't care about you. And it's been real fucking, I'm still to this day, like, where the fuck was he? Why didn't he show up? Why didn't he help? People always say, oh, because you were supposed to infiltrate the programs and da-da-da. Okay. That's not good enough of an answer for me. I'm not saying I'm a Satanist and I'm going to worship Satan now. I did that already, and it was very stupid. The antithesis to it, let's just be evil. No, that's not the answer to it. That's dumb. I don't know where the logic in that was. But I just sometimes wonder, where was God? Is he just not, like when people say he's this being of love and light and all this shit? Okay, where was he? You know, and I'm not trying to be anti-God. I'm just saying my spiritual journey of like trying to trust God again, because I do want to trust God again, and I do believe in God. Like, I do. I've seen too much to not believe in that there's a God. I just want to, well, actually, I have alters that don't believe in God. My altar that's Mormon, who is Mormon, his name is Ryan. Last time he came out, he said he's an atheist, which I thought was crazy. He said he doesn't believe in God. And this is a guy who's walked through portals, been to other timelines, all sorts of shit. He doesn't believe in God. But I do believe in God, and I just think that, like, my explanation to myself, which it doesn't help, but it kind of does, is like, it's more complicated than we understand in the here and now.
I agree.
It's just more complicated than we understand.
Yes,
because let's say God did come in and help me and just bloop, took me out of that situation. Well, it could have caused more harm.
Part of your journey.
Yeah, and the thing is like I'm not trying to be like rude, but I hate hearing that. Like, what was part of your journey to get tortured and raped? I'm just like, oh God. But the thing is like, it kind of was like it took me seeing this darkness and like how far it can go to just see like, and you know how it works with people. They start you with a little sliver of it, and you think, oh, it's not so bad. The darkness isn't so bad. You can sin a little bit. Sin isn't bad. You can cheat a little bit and lie a little bit here and there and whatever. Consent, oh, it's just an idea. You don't need to respect it. Like, that's the thought sneaking in. And like, what I've learned is you just let it sneak in, and it'll take you over and turn you into just. When I got put back after Montauk, it was really crazy because I do remember getting put back, and I didn't understand it at the time. But basically, I got put back, and I got put back at school. It was at Johnston Elementary School. I was in gym class, and a voice basically told me to like go outside. And I don't know how it all works, but like I think I was physically taken on a ship and everything. And there was a white, from what I understand, Draco human hybrid, but it was like a white Draco, and it was like very obviously had Draco, like a lot of Draco DNA, but it wasn't as reptile as most Draco, which is why I say I think it was like a hybrid, human Draco hybrid. But this being just said to me, like, please do not forget how far, how low you went. Do not forget how bad it was. Do not forget. And he told me, and I've remembered this my whole life, dude. My whole life. This is not a memory that was never covered up. But I didn't know that I got put back. I just thought this alien just out of nowhere came and told me to not be evil. But he was just like, you gain this power, you gain control, it feels so good. And he's like, but it just leads to just this pit of darkness and despair. And he's like, it is an absolute miracle you got out. It is a miracle you got out of the darkness. He's like, don't you dare ever go back. Do not ever go back. Like, I promise you, it's not worth the power. It's not worth the glory. It's not worth any of it. Because the pit of despair that you got out of, he's like, it's you don't ever want to get put in that again, because the next time you might not get out. And he told me, is like, and this is what was crazy, man. This is like some serious knowledge. What the CT told me. He said, the thing about what you need to understand is evil and like hate. It's just fear. And he's like, and hate and evil, it needs an energy source. It constantly needs to consume. So it kills people, it causes wars, it blows up planets, it destroys things. And then we want to know what? It's never enough. It needs to keep doing it, and it's never fulfilled, and it's just this emptiness, this void. But love, on the other hand, is literally its own source of itself. It's like free energy. It's just once it goes, it's just like, and it's just endless. And you don't need to plug into anything. You don't need to eat anything. You don't need to take anything. It just fucking goes, man. And like, obviously the ET didn't talk like that. It was all telepathic. There were no words. It spoke so purely that I can't even, it was literally all just emotion and thought. There was no like hello words, English words, none of that. It was all just pure thought and emotion in such a beautiful way. I wish that everybody could experience what I experienced there. But it literally showed me that pit of despair. Like, because it was telepathic, like I saw it. And I was like, it was scary. It was terrifying just to glance at it for a moment. Like, I can say that even though I don't remember a lot, and I'm still trying to get closer to God and trust God and stuff, you know, and have a better relationship with God. I think just the fact that I got out of that pit of despair means maybe God there like does love me or whatever. And maybe that was, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do believe that like the universe exists because of love. Like, it was an act of love, not an act of hate. And yeah, I just feel like even though I struggle to understand God and Jesus and all these other things, I'm not a religious person. I just believe like the energy of it all. You know, like I might not like crack open a Bible every day and go to church, but like when I that energy of like Christ, like the real thing, I'm not talking about these evangelicals that totally pervert it. I'm talking about the real thing. Like, you can feel the energy's good. You can feel it comes from a good place. And like, and the reality is, I think I talked about this in the first show we did. The reason why so many of these churches with these evangelical preachers that are like, I need more money for a yacht and all this crap. The reason why they're so prevalent is because in the satanic church, which is not church, to call it a church is kind of undervaluing it. It's a worldwide religion that is like a cult. In order to be a Satanist priest in their religion, you need to be a priest at a church to corrupt the word of God. So what happens to people is a lot of people who would be, you know, on the side of God. I don't like to use the word Christians, but they'd be like of the light and of love and of God and stuff. Because of abuse that they've experienced at the hands of the church, well, they think, okay, well, Satan must be good then. You understand that? Like, that's kind of what happened to me with Montauk. Like, I was like, oh, if God doesn't care about me, then I must have to be like work with Satan then, I guess. But it was a trick. It was a trick. It was a trap. You know what I mean?
Most definitely. They use incredibly manipulative ways. And of course, you know, with children as well, because children have got such high levels of fear. So they're going to, obviously, with the Adreno, all of that, it's much easier to get that out of a kid than what it is with an adult for various reasons. But I mean, that's truly, you know, it's truly, they will manipulate, they control. And you were speaking about what they do with Jesus. Yeah, that's what part of the testimonies of some of the South African survivors who won't speak up yet. But one of conversations I had with him was most definitely where they would take them into the church, and Jesus was the one that was abusing them.
Yeah, it's
sexually.
common. I don't remember
Mm.
it, but I have a twin sister in the programs, and she told me about it, and it makes me
Right.
really sad to hear about it. But good news with her is she's actually like a Christian in here now. It didn't work on her, so but like yeah, it's just it's disgusting. I mean, because I know Jesus existed, and he was a loving being. In fact, what I believe, I don't like to. He was a llama. You know that, right? Like, think about it. Like, they came from the east. In the Buddhist religion, they know when their llama is going to reincarnate, and they're these wise men. They came and they knew. Sketchy old people are here, dude. I'm sorry, I gotta look out the window. What is he doing? So, this guy has got an empty apartment complex next to mine. It's empty, and I believe that there's sketchy things going on, like really sketchy things, like possibly connected to the programs. Sketchy, like who just keeps an empty 3 apartments in the middle of a city? This is over $1 million if he sold it. Thousands of dollars just being thrown away. Something fucking weird's going on, and they're here now. Like if I wasn't doing the show right now, I'd probably go up there and confront him and be like, "What are you doing? Who's in this?" Because I see the light turns on, and nobody's coming in and out. Dude? Watch the movie. We all know it made me freak out and realize something weird's going on. The movie Weapons. I think some weapons ass shit is going on with this apartment building. Like seriously, like.
It's usually a front for some type of laundering. Yes, that's when they.
If it isn't just run of the mill criminal activity, which is sketchy, it's something else that's sketchy. These people sketch me they sketch me out, man. I don't like them.
Sketching you out.
Yeah, well, they're here right now. Like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that I'm doing the show, I might say something to this guy. Like, dude, you have someone in one of your apartments, guy. Do you know that? Do you realize that there's a fucking person in your apartments? Because I don't think he does. That's what happens when you have an apartment in the middle of the city that's abandoned, you moron. I'm looking at him right now.
Very interesting.
This guy's a fucking jackass, dude. Seriously, I fucking hate this guy. Anyway, sorry. He just happened to show up during the show, of course. Because I've been talking about it publicly, and I think they know it's time to shut it down.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Kim.
Oh, sorry about that. I actually have thought about putting cameras up around because of how sketchy that place is. Like, I want to see what we capture. Because, that is normal. You don't just keep an apartment building empty in the middle of a city. That's abnormal behavior. And when I'm in the programs like this and have all this weird stuff to me, it makes me even more cautious of stuff like that. It makes me question. You know what I mean? Wouldn't anyone feel that way? I mean, I talked to my neighbors about it. They all agree. They're like, yeah, we don't like it either. They should sell that building. We don't like having an empty building just sitting there. That's sketchy. Anyway, I digress. Sorry, he showed up right now, so.
Oh, good. That sounded a bit dodgy to me.
But it is dodgy. It's extremely dodgy.
Okay, well, Arkheim, I think we've kind of reached, hour and a half. So, sure. Thank you. I'm not sure if there's anything you kind of want to wrap up with.
Yeah, just one last thing. If you wouldn't mind letting me share my screen real quick.
No, of course not. Shall I put it on?
Yeah, put it on. So I talk about Appleton a lot because I'm from Appleton, and I talk about how my life is artificial and I don't remember how I got there and all this stuff. The last episode of the show Inside Job on Netflix, which is about basically spies that work for the secret government and go through portals and do time travel, the stuff that I did. The last episode is called Appleton, and it shows how they wipe their own memories and make deep fake pictures of their past and stuff like that and give themselves fake lives in Appleton, Wisconsin. So I just wanted to share that. This episode of the show came out after I went public. So this isn't, it's just super weird. And it's not a coincidence. And I just wanted to bring that up before we go, that like, yes, we manufactured this timeline. My life is manufactured. I'm not even entirely sure how or why I'm here yet. And I thought that the Appleton Inside Job episode thing would be a good way to just kind of explain it and show. I'm serious, dude. Like that's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. Hell no. Can you imagine how I felt when I saw that? I was like, what? What? Like what? Like that's crazy. They're showing you. They're showing you. And to me, it shows me that there must be people behind the scenes helping. Right?
Yes.
Because like why else would they do that? That only helps my case. It doesn't make my case look worse, right? So like, yeah, I actually think that some of the, like, for instance, weapons, a lot of people are like, it's predictive programming, blah blah blah. Don't watch it. I don't think so. I think it's to activate people. I think it's the opposite. Yep. I think that there are people in Hollywood or something. There's some sort of in fact, right. Joseph Powell. The last time I did an interview with him, where he's been missing for like 2 years because just he's got a family and being public can be sketchy sometimes. But he told me that there are going to be a bunch of movies put out to activate people. Like the last time I talked to him, he's like, that's going to start happening. And he's like, yeah, it's not all bad. Some of these movies are actually meant to activate people, and it's going to be good. And some of these movies that I've been seeing, it sure seems like it, doesn't it?
Right. It's amazing what's coming up lately. It really is. And when you know what to look for, there's not even a question of what's going on.
Yeah. Like you just gotta realize. You gotta realize sometimes entertainment is education disguised as entertainment. That's what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you coming to share your knowledge with us and your vulnerability. I really, really appreciate that. And I'd love to have you back again. You know that. So when you're ready, we can do a follow-up show. And yeah, there's always questions on these topics.
Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate it, and you know, because I just feel like you've cultivated an audience of people who are ready for this information. You know what I mean? And I just want to say I really, really appreciate that. And I also want to let you know that my mother, Penny Bradley, talks about Jesse Savitar all the time and her lawsuit against the Royals and the government. She talks about that a lot.
Yeah.
And I know that she would love to meet Jessie and have her on her show, perhaps, because she does have a show too. And just, you should really connect with Penny Bradley and maybe have her on the show. She's awesome. I mean, she's my mom, so I'm biased. I'm going to say that. But, you know, but
I love moms.
She's great. She's great. And just highly recommend having her on the show. And I'm sure she would love to meet Jessie too. And like, we appreciate Jessie's, just like in the SSP, like a lot of people appreciate her testimony and the fact that she put out that lawsuit and how grounded it is, you know, like we all really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's been doing this for many years. And as everyone who watches Jessie and has been for the past 5 years on Aquarius Rising Africa, I mean, she really goes through the high jump when it comes to trolls and attackers. And it's crazy.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you very much, Arkheim. Thank you. And we will
thank you so much. Like it's not easy to talk about the stuff and to talk about it with, you know, to have an audience who will listen and to know that this has been seeded into the human consciousness, into the public consciousness, and that this history is beginning to be recognized as real rather than covered up. I can't thank you enough for the work that you're doing. Really, I can't. And everybody else who is participating by just listening. So, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And I'll be back.
And I so appreciate that. And, you know, at this stage, I want to just say to you guys as well, it's so true what Arkheim is saying. Just by listening, you know, just by listening to the survivors, by purchasing a copy of their book, by supporting them on a Patreon or a GoFundMe or whatever it is, you know, this is what keeps them going, because time and time again we're hearing And we know this as well from what we're being told, how the minute they start getting their memories back, they are absolutely cut off at the knees. So they have no finances. They are, I mean, again, you guys would have heard Christian Latera a couple of days ago, also with his story. The minute he started getting his memory back, I mean, he was set up, his kids were taken, put into a juvenile facility for 2 years. I mean, horrific, while he's in jail. Just insane what they do to the survivors. So I really want to implore you, support them, support their Patreons, buy a copy of their books, support them on whatever it is, whichever means they are asking for support on. And I really, really appreciate you all. Holly, it's so lovely to see you in the chat, honey. And let me just pop this up here quickly. Girl in her gong. Sorry, Captain My Soul. And perfect. So I just want to see if there's anything I've missed out on. Yeah, yep, this is the one I was looking for. Just Arkheim's book on Amazon again. Appreciate you guys very, very much. And I will see you tomorrow. Double Trouble with Jesse. Thursday with Dr. Dennis. Friday with Holly. Saturday with Beverly Rhodes again. So, yay, got a nice full week and awesome lineup for you all. Take good care, everybody. God bless you all. And just don't be good. Have fun. Do things that piss the government off. Mwah.